So now we'd like to pass the microphone over to our visiting teacher, Bhante Dhammavuddho. Invite Bhante to give us some Dhamma reflection as he sees fit.
Honorable Sangha, my throat is also not very good and I'm pretty exhausted. I haven't been able to sleep. I'd like to say a few things about the suttas. In the Digha Nikaya, Sutta 16, when the Buddha was about to pass away, Rabbi Ananda asked him, whom should we take as our teacher after you are gone? And the Buddha said, take the Dhamma Vinaya that I have taught to be your teacher after I am gone. So these are very important words to us. Now that the Buddha is not around, the Buddha wants us to actually take his Dhamma and Vinaya to be our teacher. Now, what is the Dhamma? Vinaya, where people don't dispute about Vinaya because the 6 books of the Vinaya have not changed much since the Buddha's time. But the Dhamma has changed a lot. So, what is the Dhamma that the Buddha wants us to follow? In the Anguttara Nikaya 4.180, the Buddha said, spoke about the 4 great authorities, and he said basically that if any monk says that the Buddha taught such and such, the Buddha said that you should not accept it or reject it. You should compare it with the suttas and the Vinaya. The suttas and the Vinaya. So here it is quite clear that the Dhamma refers to the suttas. Now which suttas again? Because we have different types of suttas. We have the Mahayana suttas, we have the Theravada suttas. In the Vinaya books, the Buddha said that the true Dhamma will last 500 years. What he means is that it will be unpolluted for 500 years. And after 500 years it will be polluted. So we find exactly 500 years after the Buddha's passing away, Mahayana Buddhism started. And also other books like the Abhidhamma, the commentaries, the Visuddhimagga, etc. So it is because of this proliferation of books that nowadays people are not very clear what is the real Noble Eightfold Path that the Buddha taught. There are different interpretations. So it is quite important to know exactly what was the true Dhamma that existed within these 500 years after the Buddha's passing away. Now luckily we have Emperor Asoka, who lived about 250 years after the Buddha's passing away. And he made these, what we call Asoka pillars, something like these pillars, but maybe 2 feet in diameter. And on it were carved the words of the Buddha. And now that they have dug up these Asoka pillars, they find that during Emperor Asoka's time, only 5 Nikayas existed. The Dhamma during Emperor Asoka's time was the 5 Nikayas, Digha Nikaya, Majjhima Nikaya, Sangyutta, and Anguttara Nikaya. And the last was Khuddaka Nikaya, which means a small collection, because during his time it was a small collection, but unfortunately now it has become the biggest collection. So we know actually the 5 Nikayas is actually the true Dhamma of the Buddha. this Mahayana that started 500 years after the Buddha, if you study the Mahayana Suttas or Sutras, you find there's a lot of contradiction with our Theravada Sutras. And the Abhidhamma books, there are also contradictions with the early suttas. Just to say a few of these contradictions. The first is in the Abhidhamma, they talk about 6 destinations of rebirth, whereas we find in the early suttas they only talk about 5 destinations of rebirth. The Asura was added later, and we find something in common between the Abhidhamma and the Mahayana books, namely that the Mahayana also talk about 6 destinations of rebirth. The other one important difference between Sutta and Abhidhamma is path and fruit. In the Abhidhamma, it is stated that the path will be followed by the fruit immediately, the next conscious moment. If that is so, then once a person attains the path, immediately it becomes the fruit, and there is no opportunity to give dana to an Arya who has attained only the path. But in the Dakkhina Vibhanga Sutta, the Buddha talked about making offerings to the path attainer, the first path, the second, the first path attainer, the first fruit attainer, the second path, second fruit, third path, third fruit. The 8 types of Aryans. You can actually make offerings to 8 types of Aryans, not 4. So this is another important contradiction. There are other contradictions, but if you have a look at my booklet called Samatha and Vipassana, it is mentioned there. And Mahayana Sutras, if you study, there are even greater contradictions with the Theravada, namely that they can rely on Kuan Yin, rely on the vow of Amitabha Buddha to go to heaven and all that. But in the original teaching, the Buddha said that nobody can help us. We can only help ourselves. The Buddhas only teach the way. We have to walk the way. And Tibetan Buddhism started about 1,200 years after the Buddha's passing away. So Tibetan Buddhism is even more corrupt. If you investigate Tibetan Buddhism, you find they practice Tantra, which comes from Tantra Yoga, Kama Sutra, namely that books say that you cannot attain enlightenment without a sexual consort. Things like this, which is just the opposite of what the Buddha said in the Nikayas. And they also dabble in the occult, and they go into trance just like Taoism, etc. And in the Visuddhimagga, a book which was written about 900 years after the Buddha's passing away, they talk about meditation, and most Burmese monks, they rely on their Visuddhimagga to teach meditation. So now there is talk about Vipassana meditation and Samatha meditation. And Vipassana actually refers to the 7th factor of the Noble Eightfold Path, which is Sammasati. And Sammasati is, people like to translate Sati as mindfulness, but actually Sati is not general mindfulness, but a specific mindfulness, namely mindfulness of 4 objects only, which is the body, feelings, mind, and the Dhamma, the Buddha's Dhamma. The actual word for mindfulness is sampajanya. But if you look into the suttas, even sampajanya, when the Buddha talks about sati sampajanya, he doesn't talk about general mindfulness. He talks about mindfulness related to the body. sampajanya, what the body is doing, whether you are walking, you are aware of your walking, you are sitting, you are eating your food, you are changing your robes, etc., all in relation to the body. Why? Because if your mindfulness is directed to the body, then your mind will not stray. Our mind, whenever our mind strays, you forget that you are here and now. But the moment you are mindful of your body, you come back to the here and now. That is sampajanya. And nowadays, when they talk about vipassana meditation, nowadays you have Mahasi method and the Goenka methods are very popular. And they say that you can attain enlightenment just by vipassana meditation. But this contradicts the suttas where the Buddha said it is impossible to eliminate the five lower factors unless you attain the first, second, third and the fourth jhana. This is the Majjhima Nikaya. When you eliminate the five lower factors, you attain anagamin, third fruit, or fourth fruit, because the fourth fruit, the Arahant, has eliminated 10 of the factors, all the factors. So, in the suttas, it is impossible to become an anagamin, a third fruit attainer, or a fourth path attainer, without the four jhanas. If you study the suttas, it is possible for a person to attain sotapanna without jhana. But to attain the second fruit, sakadagamin, it would seem like you need the first, or the second, or the third jhana. But for the third fruit and the fourth fruit, you need the four jhanas. So, now this teaching that you can become an arahant without the jhanas comes from the commentaries where they talk about 5 types of arahant. The one with 4 jhanas, the one with 3 jhanas, the one with 2 jhanas, 1 jhana and 0 jhana. And the one without any jhana, they call the pure vipassana. So they base it on the no jhana, which of course contradicts the suttas. And then samatha meditation, which is taught according to the Visuddhimagga. There is also a contradiction, because even though they are supposed to attain jhana, but the jhanas according to the Visuddhimagga is quite different from the sutta jhana. If you look into the suttas, when a person attains the first jhana, he is clearly aware of the 5 jhana factors. Vitaka and vichara, which is thought directed and thought sustained. For example, if you are doing the breath meditation, whenever your thought runs away, you pull it back to your breath. That is thought directed, vitaka. If it runs away again, you pull it back again to your breath. That is using vitaka. And then to sustain it on your breath, that is vichara. So you only use 2 things, vitaka and vichara. And if you keep observing your breath, and you have the good karma to be able to follow your breath, slowly the other 3 jhana factors will arise, namely one-pointedness of mind, ekagata, then piti, which is delight, and sukha, which is bliss. So these 3 factors simultaneously arise. Initially they are a bit weak, but if you can continue observing your breath over a longer period of time, then they become stronger and stronger, and then you enter the first jhana with all the 5 factors. But in the Visuddhimagga jhana, they first contemplate on the breath, and then when they get a bit of samadhi, concentration, they begin to see the light, and then they change their attention from the breath to the light, and they try to always focus on the light, and if they can focus on the light, then they say that they become so intent on the light, and the light becomes so bright that they enter the first jhana. But unfortunately, when they say they enter the first jhana, you don't have the 5 jhana factors. And only when they come out of that state of samadhi, and then they contemplate their heart. They contemplate their heart, and then they say that, oh, just now I was in the first jhana, and I had these 5 jhana factors. But that is not according to the suttas. So in other words, their state of samadhi, when they are in that state of being intent on the light, they are not aware of any other thing except the light. But if you look into the Majjhima Nikaya Sutta 111, where Venerable Sariputta was said to attain the various states of jhana, it is said that he is very aware of all the states that arose and all the states that sort of dissolve or faded away. So there's this contradiction. So it appears like the Visuddhimagga jhana is different from the Sutta jhana. Now I'd like to talk about meditation. In the Majjhima Nikaya, Venerable Ananda was asked what type of meditation is praised by the Buddha, and he said the first jhana, the second jhana, the third jhana, the fourth jhana. So from this sutta, it shows that Buddhist meditation is the 4 jhanas. And then the type of meditation, he said, which is not approved by the Buddha, is the type of meditation where you do not eliminate the 5 hindrances. So actually, if you can see from the other suttas that when you attain even the first jhana, the 5 hindrances are eliminated. And from the similes the Buddha gave, it is quite clear that the 5 hindrances are eliminated for good. Now a lot of people have a doubt about this, because they think even after a person comes out of the jhana, they still have sensual desire, ill will, etc. Now, there's a difference between elimination of the 5 hindrances and elimination of sensual desire, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and worry, and doubt, these 5 hindrances. What is the difference? In the suttas, the Buddha said, these 5 things are called hindrances when they are very strong and they obsess the mind. Only when they obsess the mind they are called hindrances, not when they are weak. So, when a person attains the first jhana, the mind becomes so focused that these 5 things drop to a very low level. When they drop to a very low level, the 5 hindrances are actually eliminated, even when he comes out of jhana. To give you a simile, for example, if you have this tall grass, what we call lalang, maybe kusa grass in the suttas, very tall grass, say like 7 feet tall, and you try to walk through this 7 feet tall grass, there are hindrances because you can't see in front of you, and they cut you if you try to walk through. So it's a big hindrance. But if I cut it down to 1 foot, there's no more hindrance. It is still there, but it's not a hindrance anymore. So when a person attains the first jhana, this is what happens. The 5 hindrances go down to a very low level. These 5 things are still there, but because they go down to a low level, it's just like the grass being cut down to from 7 feet to 1 foot. It is no more a hindrance at all. That's what is meant when the Buddha said that the 5 hindrances are eliminated. When a person attains the second jhana, they are even more weakened. For example, just a simile, the 7 feet tall grass, after becoming 1 foot, then it is cut down to 8 inches when you get the second jhana. And when you get the third jhana, it is cut down to 4 inches. But when you attain the 4th jhana, it is cut down to 1 millimeter. So little That's why the Buddha says in the suttas, when a person attains the fourth jhana, he has deep wisdom, swift wisdom, sharp wisdom, javana panya, hasa panya. These are the words the Buddha used. So a person actually attains great wisdom only when he attains the fourth jhana. That's why to attain the Anagami and Arahant, you need the four jhanas. Now, in the Majjhima Nikaya, there's one sutta, I forgot the number, where a young Brahmin came to argue with the Buddha. His teacher was a famous Pukkarasati. He was very proud of his teacher. And when he came to argue with the Buddha said, your teacher Pukkarasati is enveloped by the 5 hindrances. It's impossible for him to see and know things clearly as they really are. So, what the Buddha means is that if a person has not eliminated the 5 hindrances, he has a blurred vision. He cannot see the Dhamma clearly. He cannot attain the vision of the Dhamma. He cannot attain stream entry. So what type of person has eliminated the 5 hindrances? There are 2 categories. One is somebody due to past life cultivation. He comes into this present life. He's a very intelligent person. A person who is very intelligent, has a clear mind. He is a type of person without the 5 hindrances. In other words, these 5 things, sensual desire, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and worry and doubt are not strong. And the other type of person is he attains the jhanas in this very life. So you find in the, for example, the Vinaya books, the first 1060 arahants mentioned in the Vinaya books that the Buddha helped to attain arahanthood. All of them attain arahanthood by listening to the suttas. First, the Buddha taught the Dhamma to the 5 monks, the 5 bhikkhus, and they attain enlightenment. Then the Buddha made Yasa. I'm sure many of you are very aware of the Vinaya books. Yasa come to him in the middle of the night. Yasa was a lay person with 4 wives, and he was not a meditator. But when the Buddha made him come to the forest and taught him about the 4 noble truths, he attained stream entry. The next morning, when the father came to look for him, the Buddha taught the same teaching on the 4 noble truths to the father, and Yasa, listening the second time, attained arahanthood. And then following that, he renounced, and his 54 close friends were astounded that he, coming from the richest family in the town, would renounce his family and his family and his wives, etc. And so one by one they came to see him because they thought his teacher must be very special. When they came to see him, he introduced them to the Buddha. The Buddha taught them the 4 noble truths in the same way. And all of these 54 attained arahanthood just by listening to the suttas. It shows they don't have the 5 hindrances. But they were laymen living a normal life. So this must have been something from the past life. And then when there were 60 arahants, the Buddha asked them to walk and preach the Dhamma. Then the Buddha went to look for 1,000 jatilas, matted hair ascetics. And he knew that because they had attained the 4 jhanas, that they would be quite arrogant because they have psychic powers. So the Buddha stayed with them several weeks and showed psychic power to them, to impress them, until they were convinced that the Buddha's psychic power was much greater than them. Then the Buddha told the leader, Kassapa, you keep thinking you're an arahant, but you are not an arahant. You're not even walking the path to become an arahant. It was like a slap in his face. So he got a shock, and then he started thinking. Then he acknowledged that the Buddha's cultivation was much higher. So he became, he shaved off his hair and this long hair and became a disciple of the Buddha. And when the 999 other disciples saw, they all also cut off their locks of hair and became bhikkhus. And then the Buddha taught them one sutta, Adita Pariyaya Sutta, the fire discourse, because they prayed to the fire. So the Buddha knew that when the Buddha talked about fire, they would be all ears. So just listening to one discourse, 1,000 of them attain arahanthood. No meditation. So the Buddha didn't teach them meditation. So it's always, the first 1,060 was always listening to the Dhamma. So actually listening to the Dhamma is vipassana. Because in samasati, the four things that you contemplate, actually the most important is the Dhamma. Without a good foundation in the Dhamma, without a good foundation in the suttas, you cannot attain even stream entry. Because it is clear that before the Buddha came into the world, before a Sammasambuddha preaches the Dhamma, you cannot find Arya in the world. You have so many types of meditators, so many types of yogis in India, all kinds of meditation they practice, even attaining psychic powers, but none of them becomes an Arya until the Sammasambuddha turns the Dhamma wheel. And then they listen to the Dhamma, then you get Aryas. Now in the Majjhima Nikaya, Sutta 117, the Buddha talked about practicing the Noble Eightfold Path. And the Buddha said very clearly that to enter the Noble Eightfold Path, you must enter by the first factor, which is right view. If you have not attained right view, you have not entered the Noble Eightfold Path. Now a lot of people are not aware of this, so they come into Buddhism and they think that meditation is the most important thing. But actually, listening to the Dhamma is the most important. In the Majjhima Nikaya, I think Sutta 43, it is stated that there are two conditions for attaining right view. Once you attain right view, you have attained the Dhamma Chakku, vision of the Dhamma. And vision of the Dhamma is synonymous with right view. And once you attain right view, you have entered the stream. So, in the Majjhima Nikaya Sutta, it is said that there are only two conditions for right view. One is the voice of another. You listen to the voice of somebody else teaching you the Dhamma, like the Buddha. And then the other condition is yoniso manasikara. Yoniso manasikara can be translated as thorough attention or thorough consideration. So, or proper attention. So with these two conditions, you can attain stream entry. You can attain a vision of the Dhamma. So from here, you can see very clearly it is not meditation that will bring you vision of the Dhamma. You can meditate as long as you like, but unless you listen to the Buddha's Dhamma, you can never attain right view. You can never attain stream entry. Once a person attains stream entry, he has seen the Dhamma. He starts to change. He starts to become a different person. So you can see if a person has attained stream entry, he becomes quite different from what he used to be. He's no more interested in worldly things. He's not interested in going, traveling here and there. He's not interested in what he used to do with his friends. He likes to listen to the Dhamma. He likes to meditate and practice his spiritual path, and he will spend all his time in this direction. So, after he has attained right view, it takes some time, maybe a few years, before that right view ripens into fruit. When it ripens into fruit, that the wisdom has become deeper, and then once he attains fruit, the three factors fall away. The three factors. stream entry, once a person attains stream entry, the 3 factors are still there, they're not eliminated. Only when it turns to fruit, the 3 factors are eliminated. Now, in the suttas, it is mentioned that wisdom comes in 3 stages. The first is seeing things as they really are. And after you see things as they really are, then you have the understanding. After you have the understanding, the third factor of wisdom is letting go. Letting go. So a lot of people, they practice vipassana meditation and they think that they have attained wisdom. But the test is in the last factor, letting go. If they cannot let go, they have not really attained wisdom. They think they understand. They don't really understand. So that is Majjhima Nikaya 117. Now in the Bojjhanga Sangyutta of the Sangyutta Nikaya, the 7 Bojjhangas are explained. And then there's one sutta there that says exactly how to practice the 7 Bojjhangas. The 7 Bojjhangas are factors of enlightenment. So to become enlightened, you need all these 7 factors. And it is stated that to practice the Bojjhangas, first you must draw near to a teacher who knows the Dhamma. Then the Buddha says, first you observe that teacher. Observe whether he has greed, hatred and delusion. After some time, if you observe that he does not have greed, hatred and delusion, then you have faith in him. When you have faith in him, you start listening to him. So, he will teach you the Dhamma. Because when you have faith, you show respect. And when you show respect, then the teacher will teach you the Dhamma. And when he teaches you the Dhamma, you're supposed to remember it. To remember the Dhamma that you have learned. Now this is sati. This is sati in the practice of the Bojjhangas. Listening to the Dhamma and remembering the Dhamma is sati. Not general mindfulness. So after you remember the Dhamma, you recall the Dhamma, then you have faith. You have faith, then you investigate the Dhamma, and that is Dhamma Vichaya, the second factor of the Bojjhangas, investigation of the Dhamma. You reflect on the Dhamma, and so that is the second factor. Then, after you reflect on the Dhamma, investigate the Dhamma, you understand more. So, you want to put forth energy to meditate, practice further the spiritual path. So, energy is the third factor. And then when you put forth energy to meditate, you attain piti, and then followed by tranquility, passaddhi, etc. So it is mentioned, this is how you practice the Bojjhangas. So you see, it's quite clear in the Buddha's teachings, to practice the Noble Eightfold Path, you have to start by listening to the suttas. In the just now I mentioned about the Anguttara Nikaya 4.180, where the Buddha said that if a teacher says such and the Buddha taught such and such, you should compare it with the suttas and the Vinaya. Now if you are not familiar with the suttas, how do you know whether what the teacher is teaching is according to what the Buddha teaches? Nowadays there's a lot of teachings which are contradictory to the Buddha's original teachings. So you will never know unless you investigate the suttas. So I like to stress this. Why? Because I wasted 9 years. When I first came into Buddhism, at first I came to Theravada, but then I became fascinated with the Bodhisattva ideal, vegetarianism and all that. So I switched to Mahayana, and I followed Mahayana for 9 years. And followed the same teacher. I renounced and went to live with him in America for 3 years. So after I lived with him, then I realized that what he says and what he practices is different. And you can talk about Mahayana, about great compassion and all that. But when you actually live with him, it's quite the opposite. So I became so disappointed, I came back. And I wanted to investigate Theravada Buddhism. But I didn't know about Thailand. I didn't know there are different sects. I couldn't speak Thai. I didn't know where to go. So I went to Penang, to this Mahayana monk that I knew. Then he brought me to the Mahayana temple and reordained. But then after staying a while with him also, I didn't have faith, because I realized that what they are practicing is not according to what the Buddha used to practice, what the Buddha's disciples used to practice. The Buddha's disciples used to beg for their food, meditate. This was not what the Mahayana monks did. So I left for Thailand. So after I came to Thailand, my first vasa was actually here, Wat Pa Nanachat. So you have a very good library here. So I studied the books in the library. Then it struck me that there's a lot of contradiction between the Mahayana and the Theravada. Then I felt cheated. Wasted 9 years. So like the sutta says, a blind man is told by somebody that clean white cloth is very good, very beautiful, etc. So he wanted to buy the clean white cloth. So the man gave him a cloth which was dirty and colored and everything. And he didn't know. So he went around wearing that dirty cloth and telling everybody, I'm wearing a clean white cloth. Then one day he was cured of his blindness. Then when he realized that he had been wearing this dirty cloth and thinking it was white cloth, he got so angry he thought he ought to kill that man. So that was how I felt. And I felt I got cheated after 9 years of hard work. I went to this monastery where to become a monk you have to learn to sit sleeping, no lying down, eat 1 meal a day, work from early in the morning until 4 o'clock on 1 meal a day. So when I went to America and renounced, my weight fell from 120 pounds to 96 pounds. So for all that hard work, all that suffering, I felt cheated. So I made it my mission to try to teach the real Dhamma so that people don't lose their time, their effort. After many years, if you realize you got cheated, you feel very sore. The other thing I'd just like to say is that in the spiritual cultivation of the spiritual path, the Chinese use this word Xiu Xing. Xiu Xing. Xiu means cultivation. Xing actually means Xing Wei, conduct, or behavior, or character. So when we cultivate the spiritual path, actually we cultivate our behavior, cultivate our character. It's similar to the Pali word bhavana. Bhavana means development of your character, development of your mind. And it combines knowledge of the suttas, the Buddha's teachings, with meditation, and then looking at your faults, which is right effort, looking at your kilesas and changing yourself. So, to know your progress on the spiritual path, or to judge somebody's progress on the spiritual path, I always like to say, look at his humility. If he's humble, he is practicing the right path, and he's making progress. Not like some people, they go for meditation sessions, and then they come out of the meditation session, and then they tell people, my teacher says I'm a Sotapanna. And the ego goes up instead of going down. So Humility is very important on the spiritual path. So I think I'll end for now. If you have any questions.